What's up, family? It's your brother, Governor Jay, back presenting facts over fiction to give you the knowledge that you've been missing. When you come to the channel, put your emotions to the side and hit that like and subscribe for your boy. I really appreciate that. It'll help me get this video shown to a larger audience if you just hit the like button. It's free. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to spread knowledge. I'm not here for the bull crap and the games. You know what I'm saying? If you can hear me, can I get something in the chat room? If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Give me an emoji, something. If you can, if the audio sounds good right about now. Can y'all hear me, family? All right, whatever. It's all good, man. Y'all be up in here. I see people up in here and don't nobody act like y'all can't hear me, but it's all good, man. We just gonna get started, right? So on this live stream today, right, I just want to give out some advice, some tips for the family on how we're going to stay safe during this time, because as we know, you know what I'm saying, as foundational Black Americans, ADOs, freedmen, whatever, non-immigrants, whatever you call yourself, we know we can't be deported by law. There's nowhere to deport us, ain't nowhere that's looking to accept us, but there are still some threats to us, especially to the brothers out here, especially to the brothers, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you have criminal background, if you are still involved in any kind of criminal activity, I think it's best that you fall back during these times, let that stuff go. I'm kind of piggybacking off of the previous live stream I did, where I was telling brothers, man, we're going to have to get rid of the degeneracy that's going on, because unfortunately, there are going to be threats to us if you do get locked up during these times, where potential so-called errors and mistakes can happen, where ICE will get involved. And while we may not get deported, we can come damn close to it, or it could potentially happen depending on your circumstances. It could happen, you know what I mean? Now, when you get back, I'm gonna say when you get back, yeah, you go ahead and sue and get that bag, but is it worth it? That's the question I'm asking. Is it gonna be worth going through that situation just to get a little bag on the back end of that? Because yeah, we're gonna be eligible to get that bag for sure. But is that bag worth it? All right, that's the question. That's the question I'm asking. Now, I was going to go over a few cases where American citizens have been deported, but I haven't found no cases where Black Americans have been deported. Like, there's no cases on record nowhere showing any foundational Black Americans being deported from this country. There are cases of foundational Black Americans being detained. And even those cases are somewhat shaky. The backgrounds of these individuals is in question. There was one particular brother that I was looking up, a brother from Philly. His name is Peter Sean Brown. And I was going to get into his case, man, but after checking out the threads on Twitter, I see that everybody's already dismissing him as a Jamaican tether, which is it's a little unfortunate, man, because like I said, I've looked up the case, that there's no proof of that, and I think that a lot of people are going off of facial features and I guess the way he spelled the middle name Sean. Like, I was reading tweets like these people were like, well, no, he's Jamaican because he spelled Sean Sean. And I'm like, and he's like, and that's the way Sean Kingston spells his name. And I'm like, damn, bro, some of y'all, man, is like, Man, you know what? I'm like, okay, I get it to a certain extent, but then again, it's like, man, I know people that was named Sean, you know what I mean, spelled that same way. They not Jamaican. I knew a Hispanic boy back in the day. I think he was like half Mexican and half Rican. His name was Sean, and they spelled it that same way. So I'm like, damn, like, all right, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy. I get people nowadays, since Puffy going through all his stuff, they want to say that he's not FBA no more. There's no proof to show he's not FBA, but whatever, whatever. I guess niggas get locked up now. They not FBA like that. That's a weird way to go about that, family. Real weird. But like I said, man, I'm not going to get into all that. What I want to prove is that issues can occur, and this live stream ain't about no fear mongering or nothing like that. It's just telling the truth. Like, um, we've taken a stance recently when it comes to these immigrants and all the caping that we've done historically. We've taken a stance nowadays that is contrary to what we have done in the past. And what that's going to bring, family, is an extra level of resentment and hatred for us. Now, granted, we were already hated. You know what I'm saying? We've been hated the whole time. But the fact that we taking these stances and we standing up for ourselves and we turning our back on these other people, it's going to bring a new wave of resentment and contempt and hatred and disdain. I'm telling you. And the problem is that we don't have enough people in these professional uh, in these professional settings that can advocate for us. There's a lot of instances that happen out here where we're unjustly harmed, and these influencers get in these Twitter spaces and they get on these live streams and they start yelling, "Where are the black lawyers at? Where are the lawyers at?" Family, I mean, if we got to get on social media begging for foundational black American lawyers and nobody's popping up, nobody shows up, there's only one or two that we can think of, that's a problem. And what that shows is that in situations like this where things could go wrong, and the fact that we are turning our back on outsiders, there's not really going to be nobody there to help us. All right. We're going to have to stand together. We're going to have to be able to rally together, fund money like we did with Carmelo Anthony and the Rodney Hinton and stuff like that. We're going to have to do those type of things because there's no professional legal class there vouching for us. All right. These stories that I've looked up about these Americans that have gotten deported, a lot of times when they get back, the ACLU is the one who vouches for them and puts up the money for their lawyers and gets them the bag. But what I've noticed in these cases is that a lot of these representatives of the ACLU that are helping these people tend to be immigrants. They tend to have Hispanic last names. A lot of them tend to have Hispanic last names. Some of them may be Jewish. The Jews might be the best bet we got to maybe step up for us, but I don't think these Latinos is really going to want to help no American that unjustly gets detained and deported after what's going on. You see where I'm coming from? Same thing with the African immigrants. You got a lot of African and Caribbean lawyers and stuff like that. What make you think they're going to step up and help us? They're not going to help us. Where we got our foundational black American lawyers, where they at? Where they at? Non-existent almost. So, like I said, this is for the brothers, man, mostly because every instance that I've looked up has been about a male figure, whether they were black, white, Hispanic, whatever. It's all men that's getting deported. And the way it happens is that typically these men are already in the system, or they tend to catch new charges, and they tend to have previous charges. All right. I know that that's not all foundational black American men, but it is a nice amount of foundational black American men that have been in the system and that are in the system. And what tends to happen is that either at the local level where it's whether it's at the local police department where they're getting processed, or if it's at the county level, and even in the state level up to the actual jails, the county jails and the state prisons. There are a lot of so-called errors occurring where information about inmates is getting changed. Um, like I said, so-called mistakes are being made, which are triggering ICE detainers on people. You know what I'm saying? On U.S. citizens, because maybe a name may match an immigrant name that they're looking for. Right? If you got a name that's really common, last name that's common with some Caribbeans or something like that, uh, uh you could get, what's the word I'm looking for? Wrongly detained, basically, by mistaken identity, is what I'm saying. And then you also have these people that work in these jails, in these police departments, also at times with ICE themselves, who halfway do their job. Right? There was a story about this white Hispanic guy, supposedly a Puerto Rican dude who was born in North Carolina that got deported. Like, that's the main case I found where a citizen actually got deported. And apparently, he had some mental health issues. His whole life, he had mental health issues. He was also in foster care all his life. He never really knew his biological parents, but from what he did know was apparently one of them was white and the other one was like half Puerto Rican, half white or something. And you could look at him and tell he looks like he could potentially pass as a Latino, white, Hispanic, whatever. But he gets deported, and he was like dyslexic, bipolar, all these other issues, and he had an ICE agent come visit him in the jail. This black woman, um, from what I researched, she looked like she was FBA, and she didn't really do her job thoroughly. You know what I'm saying? And she just kind of went through the motions and signed him up as some other immigrant that they was looking for. You know what I mean? A Mexican immigrant. And unfortunately, the case started with an error at the county jail where the people, the cleric or whatever, that was typing in his information and put down that he was Mexican. And there's no info on who this person was. You know what I'm saying? But since they put down he was a Mexican, even though he's saying he's American, now it's his word against their word. And when the ICE agent comes up and she's saying that, hey, your name is really uh, Thomas Mendoza or whatever they said his name was, he's over here signing all this paperwork, and the name he has, even though that they're writing down that he's got a whole nother name, he's signing in a different name, and they just going with it. You know what I'm saying? He's telling them they're American, and they like, yeah, all right, whatever, and then he just goes with it. And this dude, like I said, he has some mental issues, and what stuck out to me was the fact that I know that there's a lot of FBA brothers out here on these streets right now that do have these mental problems. You know what I'm saying? A lot of brothers that do have issues reading and writing and stuff like that, right? And these are the guys that tend to be in and out of the system. And if they are in a situation like this guy was, where maybe they don't really know their parents like that, they're in and out of foster care, they're adopted, and they don't know, yeah, these type of things can happen to a FBA as well. Now, when they get some help, if they get some help, yeah, they can come back and get them a little bag or whatever. But why go through all that? You know what I'm saying? When there's ways to avoid it. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about ways where we can avoid some of these tragic outcomes that can occur, regardless of what these influencers are saying in these damn Twitter spaces and on these 4 hour long live streams. All right. Issues can't happen. And if we want them to come round up all these immigrants, we want them to come round up the black immigrants, it's going to be some collateral damage there. It's going to happen, family. Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how small it is. If one or two FBAs get deported, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. Or if they get detained or whatever, it's a major problem. I want to talk about this article right here. I'm gonna talk about this article from CBS News. It came out about a month ago, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe about 2 months ago. dealing with the president and some comments he made. Uh, okay, and he's talking about deporting U.S. citizens in this article here. So it says here, and I'm not going to mention the president's name because I notice every time I mention his name, it's like these live streams get like shadow banned or something. So just know that you know who we talking about. All right. So the president again said his administration is looking into how to send homegrown criminals who are Americans to foreign prisons, despite both a past Supreme Court ruling against this and questions about the constitutionality. He says, I call them homegrown criminals, the president told Fox Noticias. I mean, the homegrowns, they grew up and something went wrong. They hit people over the head with a baseball bat. We have and push people into subways just before the train gets there, like you see happening sometimes. We are looking into it. We want to do it. I would love to do that. The interview with Fox News, Rachel Campos Duffy, the wife of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy for the Spanish language Fox Noticias on Monday, came shortly after the president said something similar in the Oval Office with El Salvadorian president. Portions of the interview aired on Tuesday and will air Wednesday on Fox News. Mr. Trump told Campos, I wasn't supposed to say his name, but whatever, told Campos Duffy that he is very impressed with the El Salvadorian president's opening of the Supermax prison known as the Terrorism Confinement Center in El Salvador. He said the president has made El Salvador a very safe place by building the confinement center and other prisons that are very big ones. We're using his system because we're getting rid of our criminals from out of the United States that were allowed to come in by the previous president. In March, the administration deported 238 men, mostly Venezuelans, to the facility in El Salvador, using the 1798 law known as the Alien Enemies Act as the basis for many deportations without judicial review. Since then, the Supreme Court has ruled that the administration can use the Alien Enemies Act to deport alleged gang members, but they must be given due process. I'm gonna stop here for a second. I want to talk about the Rolling 60s for a minute because, as we know out there in LA, I think they put like a RICO case on the Rolling 60s recently. As we know, Big U was locked up. I think we need to pay attention to that case. I just want to see what's going to happen with it. Like if he's talking about doing some things like this, that would be the major case to take a look at to see what actually happens to those Rolling 60s Crips in the next couple of years and see, where exactly they end up doing their time at. You know what I mean? Because it seems like that El Salvadorian president is open to receiving some prisoners from here. And if the president wants to do it, man, I don't think we should sneeze at that and take it as a joke. Because at the end of the day, man, these white supremacists don't like us either. Like, yeah, we may be on some, non-deportables and all that, but if these white folks really wanted to, they'll find loopholes and they'll do some stuff to get us up out of here. I mean, and it's not going to be on a large scale, but that's why I'm telling these brothers, if you are involved in any kind of criminal activity, you might want to leave that stuff alone. Go get you a real job. You know what I'm saying? Because at any point, something could go wrong in that court system in these next few years, man. Something can go wrong. Trust me, it can go wrong. I want to read another article here. This is actually a jail letter from a brother. And this was written about 6-7 years ago, I want to say. And I think this brother is locked up somewhere in Maryland. And I just want to read this. It's a brother named Phoenix Morocco Bay. Sounds like a Moorish brother. Sounds like somebody who may be affiliated with the Moorish Science Temple. He's currently locked up, or he may be out now. I'm not sure. But I want to read this letter that was written because he's talking about some relevant issues that I think are important factors that we need to keep in mind. So this letter, all right, it's entitled The New Era of Correctional Oppression Officers, all right, by Phoenix Morocco Bay. All right. So he starts the letter by saying, when I started my bid in 1997, I could easily count on one hand the number of immigrant African correctional officers that worked at the prison I was housed. And I truly don't remember ever seeing any of them as women. Today, the prisons I've stayed are filled with them. Actually, immigrant African officers appear to double the number of Black American officers. Nevertheless, one would think these immigrant Africans would at least be empathetic to America's systemic annihilation of the Black man and woman, hopefully sympathetic to the destruction of the Black family unit, of those whose blood ethnically is connected to their own homeland. Now, once again, family, I want to repeat that this letter is about 7, 8 years old. So, and this brother's in jail. He ain't on the whole delineation thing that we on now. So just keep that in mind with some of this language, all right? So to continue on, it says, if one were to think that he or she would be absolutely wrong, in my experience, there seems to be an almost unified belief among immigrant African correctional officers that they are not us, nor are we them. Okay, all right, we get that. No shape, form, or fashion do a majority of them relate to the struggles and trappings these United States orchestrate to demise the life energy of people of color and poor white Americans. Man, I don't know where he's going with this, family, but to just I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Remember, this is some years ago. He said, most of the immigrant African women officers turn their nose up at us. The men look down on us, proclaiming that we deserve everything bad, filthy, and unjust that was handed to us by the so-called court system. These immigrant African correctional oppressors talk to incarcerated citizens like we're scum of the earth. Some went as far as to say they're glad Black men are locked up so they can easily invade our homes and impregnate Black women. This is how they talking in jail. I even heard an immigrant African correctional oppressor tell another convict to stop calling himself African American. He vehemently said the convict was a Black nigger and not an African. Okay. I have never in my 22 years of incarceration experienced the mental, physical, emotional oppression by white correctional officers the way I have with immigrant African COs. Even the immigrants of African descent who work in the medical department expresses an accumulated hatred toward men they see as Black. I can recall an immigrant African correctional oppressor telling a convict that he wished he was in his home country where he could unalive the convict without worry of persecution. Unalive, I'm paraphrasing that. Immigrant African COs, most of them that I met are overly proudful, arrogant, self-centered, chauvinistic, and extremely deceitful. They have done things such as lied on convicts, even other non-immigrant African COs, and wrote infractions to prevent or prolong a convict's release date out of spite. What I'm writing is an untold truth that needed to be known to the public. It's also a reason I want to create a podcast to deliver this truth upon my release. In my fight for liberation, I would have never been led to believe someone of African descent could be oppressive to an American whose spirit is of kindred of African spirit. Okay. All right. I shouldn't be that naive. No, you shouldn't, brother. If history is correct, Africans did play a major oppressive role in other Africans being enslaved. Today, the souls of the enslavers live and breathe in the new era of correctional oppressive officers who now oversee our enslavement. When will the oppression ever end? All right, that's the end of that. I wanted to read that because this was some years ago, family. This was about 6, 7 years ago. And what I'm thinking is that as time goes on, and I like I said, I believe this brother's in Maryland because the website I got this from is associated with Johns Hopkins University. It could be, I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume he's in Maryland, right? There's a lot of tethers running around in Maryland, a lot of African immigrants in Maryland, right? And to be honest, I remember when I did some time in the county jail. This was over 10 years ago, prior to this letter being written. And I did time in the county jail right outside of Philadelphia, and was packed. It was packed with African SEALs back then. All right. And I can only imagine as time goes on, you keep bringing in more and more of them. They're going to practice nepotism. Eventually, they're going to move up in the rankings. You know, this brother's talking about they already in the medical department. They could be right there in intake now. You see what I'm saying? If they're there in intake processing your paperwork while you're sitting in the tank and all that, they could change up your information, man. This is what I'm saying. Like, we got a lot of enemies out here, family, and bad things can happen. You see what I'm saying? Now, if they change up your information, if they know of, hear me out. They could have a family member, you know what I'm saying, that's on that's on an ICE detainer at that moment. They could have a family member who's an illegal immigrant who they're harboring, right? You come in, if your name matches that name, or you got some kind of data that can match that cousin, they can change your information up and maybe get an ICE detainer on you. You know what I'm saying? At least for a little while, that takes the heat off of their family members. You know what I'm saying? And if you do get deported, then hey, you know, that like the instance with the Peter Sean Brown guy was that down there in Florida, I believe Monroe County, which is like the Florida Keys and a part of the Everglades. He was dealing with some white supremacists down there, right? And in that county, they had an agreement with ICE where ICE was paying them like $50 for every immigrant that they could detain for them. They paid them $50, family. That's it, $50. You know what I'm saying? And that was enough reason for them to not care nothing about what that brother said about his citizenship, whether he was a first generation immigrant, second generation, whatever. They didn't care what his situation was. They said, man, we're gonna hold you till ICE get you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they'll do. And if you don't have somebody, backing you, you know what I'm saying, that can provide this information to ICE, they will deport you. They will. They will. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got them discrepancies in the data. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to take our word for it. If you ain't got money for a lawyer, you ain't got nobody coming to visit you, you ain't got no motion, no commissary going on, man. What? You know how many people done been unalived in prison and just get buried out back? Nobody ever comes to visit. Nobody cares. What you think? Them kind of people can't get deported? Like I said, man, this live stream is not about fear mongering in no sense at all. Like, right? I'm just keeping it 1,000 here because like I said, man, and these on the social media, it's like there's a lot of arrogance being shown by foundational Black Americans, and it's like, historically we haven't been this arrogant or this spiteful, vengeful, laughing at other people's demise. That's typically not what we've done, right? And taking this stance is going to bring karma, right? I believe in karma. What goes around comes around. Now, granted, what we doing, I believe it's justified. I believe we should take the stance we're taking, right? I'm not denying that. I'm with it. But we also got to know what's going to come on the back end of that, right? Because we ain't really safe here. Ain't never been safe here. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to be prepared for that. So while they getting the immigrants out, I'm telling you, if they get the opportunity to take one of us out, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Let me see here, man. I had another article I was going to read. They got this article right here from BET.com or whatever. BET just released this article about this Peter Sean Brown dude. They just released this yesterday. I'll read through it real quick. It's very brief, very brief. And just you just want to go through and see what it says here. It says the federal court in Florida granted partial summary judgment in Brown versus Ramsey. Ramsey was the sheriff of Monroe County, Florida, right? So the sheriff was the one who set this ban up, right? Okay, it was a federal lawsuit challenging the illegal detention of Peter Sean Brown, who was arrested and detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. According to the ACLU, Monroe County Sheriff Rick Ramsey illegally detained Brown and violated his Fourth Amendment rights in April 2018. The ruling stated that ICE lacked probable cause to issue the detainer in the first place and that the office of the sheriff ignored evidence that Brown was a legal U.S. citizen. The Monroe County Sheriff Office cannot abdicate its legal responsibility and turn a blind eye to this information, the ruling read. Cody Wolfsey, Deputy Project Director of the ACLU's Immigrants' Rights Project, expresses gratitude for the court's ruling. We have seen the ICE detainer system fail time and again, but the county still chose to put Mr. Brown through this nightmare, Wolfsey said. At a moment in which we are seeing a raft of unlawful immigration, arrests of citizens by federal and local authorities, this decision is a key reminder that the Fourth Amendment safeguards us all. As long as you're a citizen, they don't put that, but this is BET, so they, of course they got that Democrat slant to it. All right. It says this case highlights the significant threat posed by the U.S. Citizens by frequent ICE errors, which are exacerbated by local law enforcement agencies participant in immigration enforcement. Added Amin Cacao or whatever, staff attorney at the ACLU of Florida. Now that sounds like a immigrant or something. These are the people that if something happens, these are the people that we need is going to have to come help us, because ain't no damn FBAs in these positions, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? This case makes one thing clear. State and local police who act as ICE's enforcers do so at their own peril. The sheriff's office cannot deflect responsibility onto ICE and ignore its independent duty to ensure there is probable cause before arresting someone like Mr. Brown. His perseverance in his lawsuit reaffirms that the U.S. Constitution protects every Floridian, regardless of citizenship. The decision is a significant victory for immigration activists, blah, 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 blah. Okay. It says down here, to date, more than 100,000 people have been arrested by ICE. Now I read that because, like I said, I think this is something we got to look out for. All right. I know people are already writing this dude off as a Jamaican immigrant, but in every document I read about this brother, he says over and over and over again, he has no ties to Jamaica whatsoever. They don't talk about his parents' background. I mean, he's born in 1968, you know what I'm saying, in Philly. Like, I think back in those days, the vast majority of black people in Philly were FBA, just like the majority of them are FBA now. But I guess we want to run with the narrative that he's Jamaican, because how he spells Sean. All right. Okay. Like I said, man, he didn't get deported, right? Because he does have a birth certificate, and eventually he had a friend that was able to email the birth certificate to an ICE officer at a detention center 2 or 3 days before he was ready to be deported. Now, this is where I'm going to get into ways that we need to protect ourselves, family. Regardless of what these influencers say in these Twitter spaces and on these damn live streams where they discuss these random Africans making TikTok videos in their cars, and they blow these Africans up on, you know what I'm saying, give them all this clout because you want to have a 4-hour live stream on some random ass hating African, some hating ass tether. Without all that, right, I know, and that some FBAs, some ADOs, people who ain't got their paperwork in order, who may not have a birth certificate because mom might have misplaced it, big mama might have misplaced it, they might have misplaced it, whatever, they might have lost it. I'm not here to shift the blame on nobody. If you don't got a birth certificate in hand, you need to get one as soon as possible, all right? And if you do have a birth certificate on hand, you need to keep a picture of it in your cell phone at all times, all right? The birth certificate, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't looked at mine in a little bit, but there's no social security number on there. There's definitely no address on there. But what it will do is shows that you're a United States citizen, okay? If you got one, take a picture of it, keep it in your cell phone. If you don't have one, you need to file that paperwork ASAP and get one. All right, because whoever may have misplaced it may not have been your fault. It may have been the people before you's fault. We already know how the elders and some of our parents have dropped the ball. So get one. All right, I'm telling you that now. And once again, if you already have a birth certificate, you need to go get you a passport. And I'm going to go as far as say as when you get your passport, you want to get the passport book and you also want to get the passport card because the passport book is going to give you a certain number, right? You're going to have a certain ID number for the booklet, and then the passport card is going to give you another separate ID number for the passport card. And you can keep your passport card with you at all times. You ain't got to keep the book with you. You can put your passport card in your wallet, keep it in your purse, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That way, if you do get hemmed up, wherever you get hemmed up, they gonna see you got a passport, and it ain't just not just a driver's license, because they giving driver's licenses to anybody out here nowadays. What's going to prove your citizenship is that passport. You see what I'm saying? And then also, if you got a picture of your birth certificate in your phone, keep that with you. That's going to prove that you are non-deportable. I'm actually thinking about making some merchandise, and maybe I shouldn't put this out there because I know it's going to be some opportunists that listen that might jump on it before I do. They might got a little bit more resources to get it popping tomorrow because I'm giving the idea of making non-deportable merchandise, and it ain't going to be like this AI generated photo on a thumbnail. I got some ideas to make it look nice and fly. You feel me? But I think that's a cool little thing to run around with. You know what I'm saying? You wear your non-deportable gear. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually they're gonna start turning it up on these African and Caribbean immigrants, and as we know, uh, they like to blend in with us and live amongst us in our historic neighborhoods where we've been at. And if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe things could happen. Like I said, usually when we when we get hemmed up by ICE is typically when a brother already has some criminal charges pending or some kind of activity going on. I think it could get even as deep as if you're behind in child support. If you get behind in child support and they lock you up for getting behind in child support, you're at the mercy of the system. At that point, anybody can go in there and change your data up. You see what I'm saying? They could change your data up and get you hemmed up. That it could be that simple. That all these white supremacists and these tethers, these people that are in these positions where they have control of you once you're in that system, it ain't even about them deporting us, family. They know they can't deport us, but they could put us through that ringer. You see what I'm saying? They could scare you. They could say, all right, hey, you got an ICE detainer now. And you could sit there all day long talk about how you a US citizen. Once they get the ICE detainer, they're gonna be like, hey, we don't care nothing about that. Niggas, tell that to ICE. And while you sitting there in jail for however long you sitting in there, then they're gonna hold a detainer and then you still gotta wait for ICE to come get you. That's how detainers work. That's what the ICE detainer is all about. Like, once you do your state time, they can still detain you. And then whenever ICE feels like coming to get you, that's when they come and get you. It could be months. It could be months at times. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's times it's been years sometimes. I remember when I was locked up, right? This was back in this was 2009. I was locked up in Pennsylvania. And I had an open case that I had already been locked up in New Jersey. I had an open case in New Jersey. I got an ROR bail, and I got up out of Jersey. All right, I think I caught a case in Jersey in like April, and then by like June I left, and I went to Pennsylvania. And I was out in Pennsylvania for a few months, and then I caught another case in November of '09 in Pennsylvania. And I ain't getting no ROR bail in Pennsylvania. They wasn't playing that. They locked me up. You know what I'm saying? And I sat for like 6 months. Went to court. The judge gave me a 6 to 23 month sentence. I had already sat for like 4 months at that point. I stayed for another 2 months. Boom, I was eligible to get released because I had a 6 to 23. The other 17 months I was supposed to walk off on probation, or what they call in Delaware County, they call it county parole, but it's just probation or whatever. They ain't let me out. I stayed for like another month because I had a detainer from Camden County for that previous case that I had caught in Camden County in New Jersey. So yeah, I sat there for another month. But I seen brothers that was locked up had their cases, they sentences was fulfilled, and they was sitting there for months because they had another warrant or a detainer from a far away county in another state. Typically, when you got a detainer from another state, you might sit for 2 3 months before that other state comes and get you. Luckily, Camden County and Delaware County is almost directly across the water from each other, so they came and got me, you know what I mean? But I knew it was a brother from Maryland, which isn't that far from Pennsylvania. He sat for like 3 months on a detainer. So that's what can happen, man. You sitting in jail. Now you might just be sitting in jail because you had a VOP, you pissed dirty, you supposed to sit for a month or two, but now you got an ICE detainer because the African that did your paperwork when you went to the county jail changed your name up or changed the birth date up or switched your data up to make it match somebody who had an ICE detainer. Now they put an ICE detainer on you. And it's and all they're going to tell you at the end of it is, oh, we're sorry, it was an error. That's literally what happens. You know what I'm saying? And no, you probably won't get deported if you got people that love you and that's there for you. But if you don't, nigga, what? 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 If you don't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, things could get real for you. And yeah, you'll still be able to come back because eventually, if you got a sound mind, you should be able to navigate the system and be able to get yourself back once you get out of that prison. Once you get out, even if you are deported to wherever you get deported to, you should be able to. You can figure it out if you got your faculties all together. And when you get back, yeah, you might get you a little bag or something. But come on now, it ain't worth it, man. Invest that money. Make sure you get a passport. You keep a passport. You get the passport card. You keep that in your wallet like you keep your driver's license. That's what's going to save you. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, and keep a picture of your birth certificate on your phone at all times. That's what's going to save you. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have those things, like I said, man, I'm telling you, it's going to come, man. These tethers and these white supremacists, they're going to F with us, man. They're going to F with us, man. Because like I said, man, Trump want to get them all up out of here, man. And Trump don't like us neither. I'm tired of some of these people out here, man, they get to running around talking about Trump love black Americans, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? And look, and I'm not here to say that he hates us or he doesn't. But I don't trust him. Not like that. You know what I'm saying? Not like that to the point where, I think it's all good and you're gonna laugh at other people's demise and think that these people aren't in a position where they can exercise that oppression on us, because they can. In the one brother's case, in the Peter Sean Brown case, like I said, the Ramsey dude was the sheriff, but there was also a lieutenant that was involved in this case with the last name of Linares. I think it was Linares, which is a Hispanic last name. Got to remember, he was down there in southern Florida. He's probably a Cuban, but he could have been something else. But most likely, he's probably Cuban. And he wasn't helping them neither. He was writing them back. The dude was putting in grievances and everything. He writing them back, all sarcastic type stuff. You know what I'm saying? This Linares dude talk about, hey man, we can't help you. Take it up with ICE. And he sat there for weeks and weeks and weeks until ICE came and got him. And luckily, he had an ICE agent at the facility in Miami that that heard him out. Because on a local level, they wasn't trying to hear none of that. Their whole purpose was to lock up a black man, get $50 for it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna keep this one brief, family. Like I said, I was going to get into the whole case, but like I said, I already see that a lot of the hardheads already kind of wrote that case off as an immigrant, and I'm like, damn, like how you jump into that conclusion when all the paperwork says that this dude had no ties to Jamaica whatsoever. They said the only tie he had to Jamaica was that he spent a day there on a cruise. He went there on a cruise like some years prior, and that was it. Like he said, he don't have no connections, no family there, nothing. You know what I'm saying? But everybody online just automatically say he Jamaican because he spelled his middle name like Sean Kingston spells it. I said, damn, boy, these niggas, man. Sometimes, man, I really wonder, like, you know what? I ain't gonna get into it, man. It is what it is, man. Like I said, so I don't want to preach to the choir here. This video is specifically for the FBA family. And I'm just telling you what could happen, like, and it shouldn't get to the point where one of us does get hemmed up, and then we got people like Tariq Nasheed or whoever making a Twitter space about it, and then it's like, oh, family, we got to do this, that, and the third. No, I'm putting it out there now. And granted, my reach and my platform ain't nowhere near as big as his, But you know, it's all fun and games, you feel me, watching these videos on repeat and laughing, you know what I mean, talk about we winning, blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, man, we still oppressed in this country, bro. And even though if we're not deportable, they can still lock us up and put ICE detainers on us. And like the one case with the brother who had the mental problems, he got deported. You know what I'm saying? He may not have been FBA, but he was a U.S. citizen. And like I said, we got FBAs out here that got mental issues. What you think? What you think? They don't want to get rid of them? You got these especially out there in California, man. You got all them homeless FBAs on the streets running around talking to themselves, dirty, half naked all the damn time on Skid Row. What you think? You think they don't want to? You think they don't want to get rid of them? Let them catch a case and have one of them racist ass Latinos working in the sheriff office and working in the jails out there. See if they don't switch up their data, because they looking like, oh, this dude ain't had a visit yet. He ain't got no commissary yet. Don't nobody care about this Mayate. I'm telling you, man. Y'all think it's a game, man. It really ain't no game like that, man. Because regardless of what these brother status is, man, if they FBA, man, whether they homeless, whether they got mental issues or not, they need to be protected too, man. Because like I said, everybody going to be gunning for us, man. Because there's resentfulness and there's contempt that we are the only, basically we like the only non-white ethnic group that can't be deported. And people already hate us. They already hate us. So like I said, if you in a location where you surrounded by a lot of white supremacists, or you surrounded by a wannabe white supremacists that speak Spanish, or if you in a location like a New York, you see what I'm saying, where there's a lot of non-FBAs who hate us, and they are in these positions in the jail, in the sheriff office, in the precinct. I'm telling you, man, all they got to do is make a so-called error in your paperwork and ICE can be on your ass. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't even about that. You got some FBAs, like, you know, some particular women that do get these jobs and they be halfway ass doing their jobs. They too busy on TikTok while they at work. They not really trying to do their job all the way. Come on, man. We all dealt with it before. Don't act like we ain't all dealt with it before. The one sister that deported the one dude, he wasn't an FBA, but shit, nigga, that was an FBA sister. She looked like she FBA. When I seen her LinkedIn and I seen her last name, everything lines up with FBA. I said, damn, she really just put this dude's name down as something else, didn't do the background check on him or nothing. She could have found, if she would have just ran his fingerprints, she would have seen he was a U.S. citizen. She ain't do none of that shit. She ain't do none of that. I think she might have been incentivized to have a detainer on one of them inmates and have somebody deported. She was probably going to get a $50 check, maybe. $50, family. And she got that man deported. And she got promoted too. Eventually, she got promoted. She got a higher position now. She's still working for ICE. I looked it up. Like I said, I ain't going to put her name out there because, like I said, I was going to get into the whole story, but it's like, why get into the story when these niggas already writing this situation off as an immigrant, even though he said he has no connection to Jamaica whatsoever. They already calling him Jamaican. I'm like, man, like, all right, man, ain't no reason, ain't no point in preaching to the choir. Y'all niggas know it all. But this is for whoever got an open mind, whoever's, you know, got a little bit higher IQ. And if you do know somebody who's still involved in any kind of criminal activity, if you got any crash outs in your family, if you got any YNs in your family who out here shooting the place up, I'm telling you, Trump trying to get their ass out too. Trump trying to get them out too. He done already had conversations with the boy Bukele. He don't want him to do no jail time here no more. He want to send him down to El Salvador. You know what I'm saying? He want to send him to El Salvador. And if he goes through with the whole repealing of birthright citizenship, there's really no telling where that could go. Like that's a large, that's a big rabbit hole right there, man. If he repeals birthright citizenship, yeah, it's supposed to be for us, and he claims he wants to do it so he could take the birthright of these immigrants, but that kind of leaves us vulnerable too, family. And that's not to say that I'm not saying fight for no damn immigrants. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we just need to be prepared. And it don't seem like none of these people with a larger platform is telling us to be prepared. They think it's all fun and games. They just want to keep showing videos of these people line dancing and stuff like that. Like it's just all sweet out here. Like I'm saying, man, they gonna come for us too. Don't think they ain't gonna come for us. So while we sitting there laughing and we think it's all fun and games that people getting deported, families getting torn apart and everything, I get it. I know they laughed at us too. I get it. We just got to be prepared on that back end because what goes around comes around. That's all I'm saying. Just be prepared. Get your birth certificate if you ain't got one. All right, for whatever reason, if it got ripped up and it's in bad shape, whatever, get a new one. If you got one, keep a picture of it in your phone. I'm going to keep repeating this. Keep a picture of your birth certificate in your phone. If you got a birth certificate already, you already got it in your phone, now go apply for the damn passport and go get you the book and get you the passport card. Don't be cheap. The passport card ain't but $30 more. I think you can get both of them for like $1.50, $1.60 or something like that. Because like I said, that passport card is going to have one ID number and the book is going to have a separate ID number. We need all the documents we can have to prove that we're FBA out here. That's all I'm saying. Because like I said, these tethers and these white supremacists want us going too. And unfortunately, we don't have enough representation in the judicial system. We don't. Even in our so-called black caucus is filled with nothing but tethers. These people don't stand up for us enough in family. So if things go left, it can get ugly. And like I said, we're gonna have to organize and put up money and do GoFundMe's and all that for if something happens. And I think it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Trust me. Especially the way they doing these deportations right now. Once they get around to the Africans and these Caribbeans, yeah, it's going to be some collateral damage that happens, family. Like I said, with the brothers that's already in the system, y'all got to be careful when it comes to brothers paying that child support, man. Pay that child support. Don't get in the rears and don't ever get to the point where they want to lock you up for child support. No time during this administration because you don't really want to go to jail. We don't want to go in jail. You don't want to be in the system right about now because like I said, it's going to be people in them places that got control over you that'll mess your paperwork up on purpose. And that's what's bringing the ICE detainers on these U.S. citizens is all these errors and all these human errors and sabotage. In my opinion, it's going to be sabotage if it happens to us, especially if the people in charge are white and they're non-FBAs. It's sabotage 100%. And don't think it won't happen because the white folks hate us, and so do the tethers, and so do the Hispanics. They all hate us because we're the only ones that can't be deported, family. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope y'all have a good day, man. Maybe, let's try to be a little bit more humble, family. You know what I'm saying? I understand that, we want to get our lick backs and all that type of stuff, and what goes around comes around. But like, let's get back to that humbleness. You feel me? Because it can get ugly, man. And one thing I do want to say this too, man. I seen some video coming out of Philly yesterday, man. Of course, Philly wants to jump on the protest bandwagon. Now, granted, the protest that's going on in Philly was nowhere near as large as some of these other cities that's copying off of LA right about now. But I just want to speak to the family in Philly, man. Stay out of them damn protests in the streets, man. I seen they locked up like 15 people, a whole lot of Latinos, which is good. I mean, lock them up. But I seen black people out there too. I don't know if these was tethers or what. But I seen black people out there, man. Look, man, like I said in the last live stream, stay the hell out of these protests, man. You see what I'm saying? Because once they deploy the military, the military got technology that these local police departments ain't got, man. They got face recognition and all that type of stuff. And all they gotta do is if they see you and you got some charges on you, don't think they're not coming behind you. They're gonna come get you. You see what I'm saying? And then at that point, they could finagle the system, they could finagle that paperwork, and things might go left. Don't think things ain't gonna go left. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to see no looting going on, none of that, man. That's another thing I seen in LA. I seen they started looting that night. I actually thought it was somewhat funny because historically speaking, like especially dating back to the LA riots in '92 and even them George Floyd riots, one thing I noticed about the Hispanics, especially out there in LA, is that they always pretend afterward that they protested with us for the injustices that we go through. But when you really go back and look at the footage, when you really go and look at how things transpired, the first day of protesting, they're never there, right? They're never there. They show up at nighttime, right? I guess also when our criminal class shows up, right? It always turns out that way. The protest is peaceful. It's the real protest in the daytime. As night falls, you get another element that comes out. And that's when the looting starts. And that's when they tend to show up, right? One thing I noticed about LA the other day is that they've been protesting for a couple of days, mostly the Mexicans out there, whatever. I see some black people, who knows what their background is, but we see them out there. It's not many of them, but they're there. But what I did notice is when they started looting them stores, it looked like I seen a lot of little YNs running around out there. I know how we move, you know what I'm saying? Especially in comparison to the Mexicans. I know how we move. These niggas might have had masks on and track suits zipped all the way up, but I know how we move. And y'all little niggas came out there to loot, man. It's not a good look, man. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't be out there looting. But I also get it, because like I said, when we're out there protesting, that's what they come out to do. They come out at nighttime and start looting. So I guess we came out and started looting on their protest. It is what it is, man. But in Philly, y'all stay home, man. Y'all stay home, man, because I know Philly got a bad habit. Y'all got a bad habit of wanting to one up everybody. You some followers out there. It's a bunch of followers. Number one, you following, but then it's like niggas want to follow, but then you got to say, oh man, we got to do it bigger than they did it over there. Oh, that's how they do it in LA. Oh, we got to do it bigger than them. You know what I'm saying? That's Philly's whole mentality. It's like, oh, that's how we sit there and watch. Oh, that's how they got down in Chicago. Then the next night, we got to do it bigger than them. Telling y'all, niggas, stay home, man. We don't need all that, man. We don't need that attention, man. Because like I said, right about now, we don't want to be getting locked up, man. You don't want to get locked up during these times, man. Trump out here threatening to deport U.S. citizens. He want to get the criminals out. And don't think your black ass is exempt from that just because you FBA. That's all I'm saying. We not exempt from that because we are hated by everyone. I'm going to keep reinforcing that. So once again, make sure you get a birth certificate if you ain't got one. If you got one, take a picture of it, keep it in your cell phone. And if you got one, go get a passport. Keep your passport card. Go get the passport card and the passport book. Keep the passport card in the wallet at all times. You know what I'm saying? And just leave the criminal activity alone, man. We don't want to do no more business with these foreign drug dealers. We need to starve out these immigrants with their drugs. Starve them out. We don't want to do no more business with no damn drug dealers, with no damn foreign drug dealers, regardless of what color they are. Because they get the ratting too. That's another thing these immigrants do. They get the ratting, and the first person they gonna rat on is the FBA that they selling to. So relax with the criminal activity, man. All these little shooters and all that, man. I don't know who's raising these shooters, man. That's shooting up block parties and all that, man. I don't know who's raising these. Well, I do know who's raising them or not raising them. But we gotta let that criminal class die out, family. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. They ain't worth nothing, man. Cause they don't turn up on nobody but ourselves. I don't want to hear nothing you talking about. I don't want to hear nothing about what niggas used to do 20, 40, 30 years ago. These little YNs is terrorizing our neighborhoods. They don't really do too much to nobody else but us. We wanted to get rid of them. And if Trump wants to send them to El Salvador, man, hey, you gonna have to send them to El Salvador. That's gonna be the way they get their mind right. Because if they just go upstate to Bradford or wherever they go, they come on right back and just start that shit right on over. You see what I'm saying? They go up there, get a little bit more knowledge, and then just start it right over, man. Send them down to El Salvador where they whooping on them dudes every day. You see what I'm saying? That might be what needs to happen, unfortunately. But like I said, man, I'm gonna cut this short, man, and I felt like I needed to make this live stream because, you know, from what I'm seeing from these influencers, man, they I don't know, they make it seem like it's just all fun and games out here. And like I said, and it's all cool, whatever, you know, you want to laugh at the next person's demise. I get it. I get it. I know they've been laughing at us for a long time. But just as they're getting what's coming to them and what goes around comes around to them, it'll come right back around on us as well. Okay? And that's something we should know about. We should know that. So, y'all be safe, man. Hey, do me a favor. Share this video. You see what I'm saying? Share this video. If you got some young YNs that got some issues, man, tell them let them know, man. Let them know. All right, man. Y'all take it easy, man. We out of here.